Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Reefs Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
And welcome back to the Tracer Rounds show. And with me tonight is Jose Flores, and he is the host of the Motivated Mindset on MBR. And you are on MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice. Tonight's voice is to Jose. Welcome, Jose.
Hey, how are you, Terry? Glad to be here. Yay. I got to fold my hands because I got to keep the energy in. We're good. We're good.
I don't care if your hands are flying. It's okay, because I use my hands all the time too. So no problem there. So I was so excited when Jose said he would be on tonight, because I want people to really know who this guy is, who Jose is. So who is Jose? Who is Jose as an 8-year-old or as a young man growing up in New York? And what was life like for you when you were young?
Well, Terry, well, thank you for having me on. I was excited too. I told Terry earlier, thank goodness I don't have a tail, because I get excited. I'll be knocking stuff down, but no, it's all good. No, but Terry, thank you for having me on. So I'm from, how you doing? ¿Cómo está mi gente? I'm from, born in Brooklyn, raised in the Bronx. So I was like 10 years old. And when I say the Bronx, it was the South Bronx back in the late 70s and 80s, and it was burning. It was terrible. We had Section 8 housing we lived in, a lot of gangs, a lot of prostitution and stuff like that. But when you grow up in a place like that and you have the family unit is good, I didn't even notice all that. It was just part of the scenery,
Right.
So I'm glad that I was raised there. So when I was 10, my dad was a super, which is the equivalent of a maintenance guy in New York, and then we moved to Brooklyn, which was like the Fort Greene area. Not too good back then, but so it was just me and my sister and my mom and dad, of course. So growing up in New York kind of, shaped me and all that. I didn't know it until I left.
And then you're like, boy, I really sound different.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Let me tell you something, Terry. The hardest thing, okay. So it was after I left New York that I used to say, can I ask you a question? And people look at me like, well, you want to hurt me because of my accent. I didn't know what I said, what are you talking about? I'm going to hurt you, the cars in the yard. What? Yeah, it was crazy. That's one of those things that I had to deal with. Yeah. So yeah, that's who I was growing up in New York. And real quick, and so I went to George Westinghouse Vocational Technical High School, right? Why do I say that name? So that was the same high school that Jay-Z went to.
Oh, wow.
Notorious B.I.G. and Busta Rhymes.
Oh,
So
wow.
the schools that I went back then, it was just like, it was crazy. But again, you don't see that when you're in the jungle. Let's put it that way. It's just part of the normal life. So yeah, that's one thing that I didn't get to see them. I wasn't with them, but they did attend the school.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to go into the Army after that? Because you are an Army veteran and you spent 30 years. So you and me are on the same page, but you did yours all active duty, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. So 30 years active duty is a lot.
You know what?
Lot.
Yeah. So what you remember back then? Well, that one commercial, I think it was one of the most marketing commercials. Be all that you can be. You remember that? Oh my God. And then I think I was what was it? I was a senior. It was December when we graduated in June. And that was when it hit me like, oh my goodness, what are you gonna do? Like I wasn't college material. I was gonna graduate. And I definitely didn't want to stay with mom and dad. It was just, but I didn't know what I could do. So one day I saw Be All That You Can Be. And I said, that dude looks just like me. Remember the guy who jumps out and said, good morning, First Sergeant? Remember that? I heard that dude got in trouble like drugs and got kicked. That's what I heard. I don't know. But I was like, man, that's me. I said, because I think he was Latino. And that was it. That was the thing that said, okay. So the very next day, we were on Christmas break. I went to see a recruiter. And I joined the delay entry program. Remember that? Yeah.
Yes. So
I
was on that too.
That was the trigger. Yes.
So you joined. So you didn't think of any other service, just Army because of the commercial you saw.
I did think of the Navy, but let me tell you, okay, I know it sounds silly, but after seeing Jaws back in '77, I said, oh, heck no. No, even today, girl, I can't go in too far. Let me just get my feet wet. Where's the pool? Because Jaws may come out. I know it sounds crazy. I said, the Navy and for me, the Marines, I'm not good with eating crayons. Thank you very much. Okay. So for civilians who don't know, that's all the military branches have this inner rivalry kind of thing, and I don't know where that came from. Where it came from, Terry?
I don't know. Yeah. I think it's just good ribbon because you know how you kid your siblings and your friends. And so we're all friendly and we just kid each other.
So I in the Air Force, forget it. I could not even pass that as I didn't even But the Army, they took everybody, And I was 17, and and because I was 17, I remember when my parents had a sign for me, and they were like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I said, "You know what, Mom, Dad, I'm not sure, but I know this is probably better for me." And they were crying and everything, And it wasn't until I became a parent and we talk about the empty nester kind of thing, why I was leaving. But that's what it was. That's when I joined, and I would tell you, Terry, it was freaking terrifying. It was terrifying that I was the first time I had to get on a plane and do this and do that. So, So that was the commercial going down there. And one thing I learned, recruiters don't lie. The truth changes. Thank you very much. All right. But man, okay. So
that's true. Or they just leave out the parts that you're not going to like. So they tell you the parts you want to hear and they just don't tell you about the rest. They figure you'll find out on your own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what did you enlist for? What was your job specialty?
So I have 3 MOSs. So, of course, as a recruiter, they have quotas. So they combat arms is where they try to, and you don't know anything, So I actually he said, so my first MOS was field artillery, right? And I said, what does that do? So the guy said, I remember the recruiter, he said, well, it's like going to Central Park, and you get on this little car and you have a 50 cal machine. He was all wrong. It was... And I was like, and then they give you this food back then when they had sea rats, and they got pound cake. I mean, he just prettied it up. I said, oh, okay. So my first MOS was 13 Echo, fire direction specialist, which is the one that directs the guns and yada. So it was field artillery, which was going from Earth to Mars. What is it? Fort Sill, Oklahoma, girl. I was what?
Fort Sill is not the best port.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, field artillery was my first MOS.
Oh wow.
Oh my God, yeah. And I'll never forget getting off that bus. And the first thing out my question was, oh my God, Mom, This dude came in there and 6 foot. He looked like he was 10 foot, screaming at me. It's like, what did I do to you? I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, it was like all these 17 or 18, we were just like crying, like, what the heck is this? Of course, the recruiter, oh yeah, you're gonna go through basic and they could just get you, oh, okay, not like that, Right. And I hated the drill sergeant Smith. I will never forget his name. Oh my! So yeah, that's my first experience in basic, and I didn't sleep for a week.
Oh wow!
Because in New York, where we lived at the subway, which is underground, was constantly underneath us. So you get used to these sounds, and then you go to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and it's quiet. Yeah. So
except for the guns going off.
Yeah, except for the guns. Yeah, the range. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. So how long did you spend in field artillery, and then what did you change to?
So I did, like, my first term was 4 years. My first duty station was Fort Hood, Texas, Killeen, Texas. First CAV. Oh, my God.
There you go.
And so I had the first CAV patch for civilians. It's a huge patch. Remember the first
very
patch?
Big.
Huge.
Very big.
So, I was the first CAV, and I'll never forget. You go through what is that when they first go? You go to reception station, yada yada, and they put me in this room with a Spec 5. Back then, they had Spec 5.
Yeah.
And the song for class, it was like a Friday night. The song for class walks in, and I just lock up. I mean, I'm PV2 Flores. He said, "What you doing? Just chill out, man." I said, "Oh, but that's a song for his class. This thing is in you."
Right.
He brings out a bottle of Cavassier. We were the best of friends by the end. I said, "What's up, Joe? What's up?" It was like, and and it was the first time that we had the freedom, and I didn't have to answer to anybody, just whatever my section chief said. So Fort Hood, and then when you don't have a POV, when you don't have a car there, oh my God, Fort Hood is huge. That was my first duty station.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your first 4 years. And so what did you change to, and where did you go after that?
So when I left Fort Hood, I went to Ansbach, Germany, field artillery.
Okay.
Oh my God, Grafenwehr. So when they talk about field artillery, Grafenwehr is a training site.
Yes, it is.
Oh my, you been there, Terry?
I've been to Germany, to Schweinfurt, but I know about Grafenwehr because I know that's where they do all the training, and it's the cold weather training they do.
Yes, girl. Oh my, I still got frostbite on three of my fingers from a war hug. Oh my God. So here I am on guard duty. And it's supposed to be, I forgot, every hour. I was on a gumpy. I saw this freaking, I'm from New York. Because we got rats big as cats. How you doing? Thank you very much. So next thing you know, this freaking ball hug. I'm on guard duty with a freaking weapon with no rounds. I get on top of the gun. It's a gun. And I stay up there all freaking night. So I couldn't get relieved. I couldn't get the dude. Yeah, it was dead of winter. So I'll never forget that. Ball hug. And
oh no,
but let me tell you, I enjoyed my time in Germany.
Germany was beautiful.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Real quick story. I'll never forget that first time I went to McDonald's. I said, "I'll take some, fries and, and a Big Mac and you got beer? Oh my God, girlfriend, how you doing?" I ended up staying there for like 3 hours. Me and McDonald, the statue thing, we were the best of friends. I was like, "Oh my God, you sell beer?" Call my mom. My mom said, I was so drunk. She said, "Jose, what are you doing at a bar?" I said, "Mom, I'm in freaking McDonald's, Mom." She said, "What?" Oh, it was like mind blowing. Yeah.
Definitely. You don't expect beer to be served at McDonald's.
No, you don't. But I had such a great time in Ansbach, Germany, which wasn't too far from Nuremberg, and that was another great
Nuremberg's a neat place. Yeah.
It was. So yeah, so when it was, since I was a first termer, in other words, it was, I get whatever I wanted. And what made me change my mind? I saw a Sergeant Major with 2 hearing aids. I said, yeah, because back then they
right. You're like, I don't want to do this long term.
I said, oh no. And they was in big in the early 80s with hearing protection. They give you whatever,
Yeah.
So then they had the BEAR program, where you would get money for re-enlisting. Mm-hmm. So how did I choose my job? I said, where's the school at? They said it's at Shepherd Air Force Base, because I became a combat engineer, but not the 12 Bravo. I became a linesman working on, with the boots and everything. So the school was I said, "Ooh, Air Force. Yeah." So it wasn't, if I needed the job, I said, "Ooh, I like the Air Force. They got good food at the dining facility."
Right. They do. They definitely do.
So then I went to Shepherd Air Force Base, and what was that? Texas? Yeah,
Texas, yes.
and went to school. So where did I go? Back to no, I went to Fort Bragg.
Okay.
And I was with the combat engineers there, and that is a different place, girl.
Yeah, I spent 5 months there.
So you know.
Yes.
You know, it was good because, you know, you and I know some people make a career, go to Korea for a year, come back, and then just stay there the whole time. So we got the DRF-1, which we were some alert. I wasn't even in country. I wasn't even in Fayetteville 3 weeks. We got sent to Honduras for a year, girl.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't even do my job down there. The commander said, "You speak Spanish now." Before I say anything, I speak Spanglish. In other words, it's not even proper Spanish. Like, this is how we talk in New York. Hey, ¿pa dónde tú vas? How you doing? Mira, tráeme eso. In other words, it was just like all over the place. So here I am. The commander say, "You want me to translate?" I come back. My job got taken away, and I had to reclassify again for the third time.
Oh, my goodness.
Which was cool. And I said, "Where's the job? Where's the school at?" Fort Bliss. Here I'm thinking it was blissful. Oh, heck no.
Oh,
That is
no.
not blissful at all.
No, it's not.
Oh, my goodness. So I went Patriot. I was a Patriot crew member working on the radar. And I got the bliss, yeah. So those are my 3 MOSs.
So you spent a lot of time in Texas, in other words.
I did.
Yeah.
Excellent. Exes. Ain't that a song? But anyway.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
did. It just so happened to be in Texas. Yeah, it did. I did. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you survive 30 years in the military? I mean, like, you had to have some mental fortitude and some, really a lot of willpower to stay in, because it's a long time.
It's called child support. How you doing? Thank you for coming. I forgot to tip your waiters and waitresses. I can give you some BS, but I'm gonna say it's called child support. So here I am when I was close to. So when I got divorced, I was close to my 20, and I said, "What am I gonna do?" Oh my God, I'm bottom line up front, because with child support, I had an opportunity to change. And once you hit 20, and I had like 20, I say I might as well stay as long as I can. And it was in them last, I say 15, maybe 14 years where all the wars happened. Now in 91, I did go to Desert Storm. I did go to Desert Storm from Germany when I was a Patriot. And I would tell you, Terry, it was terrifying because if you know, back then it was the whole Saddam Hussein and the chemical weapons.
Yeah.
And when I came back from Desert Storm, I got sent to Washington State because we got deactivated in Europe. And after Desert Storm, a lot of units got deactivated and so on. So to answer the question, of course, I got divorced, and that's why I stayed in longer. And it was the best decision I ever made in many ways. So, yeah.
So what do you think the military taught you all your 30 years in the military? What's your biggest takeaway from your time?
Absolutely. Hurry up and wait. Thank you very much. No.
That's true.
No, I will tell you that, and because when we're in, especially with NCOs, you're working with professionals. So you're in this protective bubble. So when I got ready to transition now, I was actually, what they call that, imposter syndrome. I didn't know what my capability was because I was out. And my first job when I got out was working at Fort Meade for the Department of the War. And I was like, wow, can I really do this? And then slowly but surely, as I got to know the processes, all that stuff, selfless service, duty, honor, being on time, right uniform, all that came into play. So it taught me, in the Army, we're taught, as you know, putting, let's say, 5 pounds of manure in a 2-pound bag and making it work.
Right.
Whatever, getting the mission done regardless, because we, in the military, we train to standard, not to time. So the job gets done. With civilians ain't like that, of course, So I would get there early. So it taught me how to give all of me and how to be present. And even when I'm tired, to be highly motivated and get the job done, regardless of my feelings. Because, in the Army, unless it's immoral or illegal, I salute the flag and I move out.
That's right. Absolutely.
So the military taught me all those Army values, about honor and just doing the right thing, even when you agree. So, and it's helped me so much, and it's still in me. If you're on time, you're late.
Right. Yeah.
So it did teach me that. It did.
So how was that transition out of the service? So after you got out, then what did you do? And what did that look like? Did you have some help, or did you find that you were kind of lost after you got out? Because you spent 30 years doing something. And with a lot of people, what they say too is if you don't have any interest outside the uniform and all you have is friends in the uniform, and then once you take that uniform off, you don't know who you are anymore because that's all you were and that's all you were focused on. So did you find that to be true for you, or did you have outside interest where that transition was made a bit easier for you?
So for me, it was terrifying. So back when I got out, if you said that you had some mental health issues or you went to see mental health, you could lose your security clearance.
Yes, that's true.
Remember that? So what we would say, oh, I'm fine.
Exactly.
No, I'm good. No, because we needed that security clearance in order to get a job, right?
Right.
So, like a honeymoon phase, when I first got out, it was okay. But then things started happening to me that I didn't know affected me, So let me back up. So when I was in all the senior NCOs, and I'm being straight up, we would all go drinking in the barracks to deal with the issues we had. That was it. It was called self-medicating, right? We knew that after we got done sober, the issues would be there, but I wasn't alone. I was with my brothers there. We lived on Listerine and Visine for PT formation. We were working alcoholics. When I got out, it was terrifying. Yeah, I had a job, so I don't mind sharing. I tried to take my life three times, twice on active duty toward the end, and one when I got out. Because emotionally you can't sit, but you can't stand, and you're in limbo. You don't know what's happening. And then when you go through life experiences, divorce, loss of identity.
Yes. It's rough.
It is freaking crazy. So here you are going through the motions, smiling and not letting people know what's going on. It's like, oh, Jose's happy, not knowing that I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I tried to take my life when I got out that I finally raised my hand and I said, I need help. What did that look like? I reached out to the VA. They put me through some therapy, but I started with the vet center first. The vet center before I went to the VA. And the vet center, I'll never forget that they said, do you want to do group or you want to do one-on-one? I said, I need to do one-on-one. And I remember I was drunk the first couple of times. I was just like, yeah, this is some BS, in my mind,
Yeah.
When I went to the group and the veterans started sharing their stories, and I'm sitting back like, okay, because when you're going through something, you think you're the only one going through.
Right. Yeah.
And another thing, when I first got out, I was going to I loved it. Going to the VFW and that all they did was drink, and I was like, freak yeah, let's do it. And it was but the downside is I had to drive somewhere. I had to drive back home. I mean, so it was terrifying. So it wasn't until I got help, because all my drill sergeants were Vietnam veterans, and I remember once we got out and talking with Vietnam veterans, how the VA was not a good place, how they got treated. So I didn't trust the VA.
Yeah.
I did not trust the VA to do anything. But it wasn't until I went through that trauma that I finally said, I can't continue down this path. So that's when I went and got help. And it wasn't easy. It was effing hard.
Yeah. I mean, working on yourself is not an easy go. It takes strength and resilience and, want to, because it's easy to do the things that, the path of least resistance, but to do the things that really change you and help you, those are
Mhm.
hard. And
Yes.
so it takes more effort to put yourself in that space where you're really trying to heal and grow and learn and all that. You can just continue on down the path that you
Yes.
were, where it's, medicating yourself or just, saying I'm fine. That's the easy thing to do, even though it kills you inside. It's
Yeah.
still the easier thing to do than actually working on the issues. As MJ was saying, we all face those things
Yeah.
we ran from and did never deal with at some point in our life. And so when you get out of service and then you're having some of those are coming back up, and are haunting you, so to speak,
Mhm.
you got to do something with them. You got to deal with them. And so I really appreciate you that you shared that, you finally said, look, I can't do this by myself. I need some help. I just need somebody to walk me through this so I can come out on the other side a better person or feeling better about myself and about my situation.
Mhm. And like many veterans, I dealt with PTSD, and for a long time, I did what a lot of us are trained to do. I sucked it up. I pushed through, and I stayed busy. I stayed on the strong side, even though it was killing me inside.
Yeah.
But internally, it catches up with you, and eventually, I had to make that choice. Keep pretending I was okay, or actually get help, and I chose help.
Yeah.
And
We just
that's what
tamp
we
it
got.
down. We
Yeah.
just tamp it down and
Yes.
keep moving and, hope it goes away and it
Mhm.
doesn't. First responders do the same thing, and I had a couple of police officers on and it's like what they're saying, they can go from 0 to 100 in an hour because they have a call where they're just or they're just doing a traffic stop. And that traffic stop can end up being something very major or very minor. And
Mhm.
then they could get a call of a hostage situation or someone being robbed or someone being assaulted or something like that. So they serve so many different calls at one time that they can't ever like really relax because they're always at high you know eh, like their energy is always high on alert waiting for what's next. And the military is kind of the same, and especially when you're deployed, you can't relax, you don't know what's next, and you just keep moving, but things are just like going so quickly around you that you don't even really have time to think
Mhm.
about them and process them until later, and you're like, man, that was a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have to try to figure out how you handle it and how you move past it to get to a good place.
No, no, you are absolutely correct. And then, there's something I want, people to understand, those who haven't served, that, life doesn't stop, almost as they say, hitting you just because you served or because you've accomplished things, or, you still have to do the inner work, right?
Yeah.
Inside what we talk about. And like, today, like I'm just committed to my community, and that's who the core, because one of the things we learned, I'm selfless service. We're
Yeah.
so used to them before you or whatever, and you're in the background. I'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, like you said, any job that I ever had on the civilian side, I don't work to the time clock. I work till the job's done. Whenever
Yes.
the job's done, I'm done. I'm not done until the job's done.
Mhm.
But like you say, the mindset on the civilian side is, oh nope, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to go
Yep.
home.
Yep.
It'll work out itself out tomorrow, but we're just not wired that way to work it out
Right.
tomorrow. We're going to keep going and keep going until we're done with it. And we don't complain for the most part.
Right.
Don't complain, we just work and we just do because that's what we were trained to do. Not
Yes.
not to worry about it and not to, focus on, okay, well, I'm tired, but I'm gonna keep doing it anyway.
Hmm. Hmm. No, you're absolutely correct, Terry. That's just the way we're built, and I feel like I just got out a couple years ago. you know.
Right? I
Oh
got
my.
out in 2024, but
Mhm.
I feel like it was not that long ago,
Right. Right.
and I got out because, I reached MRD and they're
Yeah.
like, "It's time for you to go, sister." And I'm like, "I don't want to. I don't wanna go. I wanna still stay in the boots because I miss them."
Yeah.
Carolee asked me in the podcast we had the other day, she said, "Would you go back in or if they, let you, if they said you could come back in?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd still be
Mhm.
drilling. I'd be putting on that uniform and here we go."
Mhm.
You
No,
know?
that's it. That's what I miss. The great people that I had, that that structure. Yeah, there was a lot of WTF time, but in
Yeah.
the end, it was mostly all high, I would say.
Yeah.
And it made me, I tell you, Terry, it made me a better human being by serving in the military. Because when I go back to New York now, they're acquaintances.
Mhm.
and here they are, for them seeing the world or leaving New York City is 2 weeks in Cancun in a gated community, and they go back and they wait a whole year to take vacation.
Yeah.
And here they are, on the same stoops, gray hair, drinking Mad Dog 2020, chill. And I do love that. Oh my God. But but they haven't changed, but we've changed.
Right.
We've changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Definitely. So how did you start all your other things that you do? So you're a podcast host on the Motivated Mindset here on MBR. You are a death doula.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are a motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you doing? And so where else did your career lead you after the Army?
So once I worked at Fort Meade for like 10 years. And then during COVID, a position came open at Housing Urban Development. And because I worked in the EEO field, Equal Employment Opportunity, I was in charge of observances and stuff like that. But when I got to HUD in DC, I didn't even do the job I got hired for. It said, we need an alternative dispute resolution coordinator. And that new guy, he's full of piss and vinegar. Why don't we use him? And I was like, so here's where the Army comes in. They said, Jose, would you like to be on a detail? I said, I'm not going to say no. Yes, I would. I didn't even know what the job was about. I was ODF out there flapping like, okay. So I became a certified mediator without knowing. So what did I do? They put me on a detail. So I must have called like 200 or 300 ADR people that do from different agencies. Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing? Hey, where you from? What does the ADR do there? What do you do? Bottom line up front, because that's what we do as NCO. We go out there and we don't need to know everything. We just need to know where to go.
Right? Exactly. Yep.
Then I became a certified mediator, and next thing you know, I'm doing. They want me to do the master ceremony for all these different. Remember back then, where Hispanic Heritage Month, yada yada.
Yes.
So at first, Latino, I get it. I'm Latino. African American, okay, I'll do that. But then one time when the Asian asked me, I said, I'm Latino. I mean, if you want me to be I can do it, but don't you have like members and so on? So all of a sudden, I became part of the VAG, the Veterans Affinity Group at which is a group for veterans, and it was through them. And then right before I got out, I attended a Red, White, and Blue. Team Red, White, and Blue is a nonprofit organization that helps veterans through physical and social activities. So I became a member. And then I don't know exactly when it happened, but once you connect with one, you connect with another. And then I served on the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity. And then once all that happened, and I was a Lions Club member. So I'm gonna tell you real quick. You ever seen that you go into places that has the big L? It's the Lions Club.
Yes, Lions Club.
Yes, and I was these are people who must care about lions. Are they endangered? I mean, I didn't know. I was lost like last year's Easter eggs. I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay. Wow, why does every town? But King Kong killed them. I don't know what I was thinking. Then I became a Lions Club member, and I even became a president and everything. So
nice.
I say all that once you connect with one nonprofit organization, the members belong to others. So before I knew it, I got involved. But another thing I did, I was able to use some of the skill sets that I learned in the military as a government employee. And what does that look like? Management skills, holding meetings, public speaking, you know. And before I knew it, it just took off. And I've been involved with them, since I retired, with some of them. And then it wasn't until I retired from, when I moved to HUD in DC, it's just a hub of activity. And it's been the best thing I ever did. And I can talk about the VA too when we get a chance. So
no, tell us all about it. I'm curious to know. Give us the scoop.
Okay, here we go. Thank you. Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. All right, here we go. So, like I was saying, check this out. So 2 years ago, they needed somebody. They were looking for a veteran for Veterans Day to spotlight on the news. And one of the injuries I got, I had to get an L4, L5 fuse. So I have something called foot drop. I didn't even know what that was. You know what that is, Terry?
Yes, I do.
So for the people in the audience, that means I can't dorsiflex. So when I run, the VA made a brace for me. So one of the people who worked there said, hey, we have a veteran you can spotlight. And I was on the news and everything.
Wow.
It took me years to get this done. Thank you very much. I was on TV and everything. And it was when I met the public affairs at the Baltimore VA that they told me, the VA has something called the Golden Games. And in your area, You can participate in biking and so on. And next thing you know, I get engaged with them with the VA, the Veterans Affair, and they have these things called for mental health, the Golden Games. For example, I'm going to in June to participate in like Olympic type things. And at first I was like, man, I can't run like that. I'm not no most. No, they got things like bocce ball, shuffleball. I say, sign me up. Oh yeah. I can do that. And wait a minute, you're paying for it too? Girl, they're gonna pay for my flight. And I say, sign me up. And you got what's that other thing? Cornhole. Yep. So all these things are for veterans. So the VA has this thing where you can sign up and with the in every state, and every week they have something going on. Team Red, White, and Blue. In June, I'm going to something called Project Odyssey for my mental well-being. So I do understand once you get PTSD training therapy, you understand your triggers. It's like, because I went through a divorce last year and I went and got therapy. So Wounded Warrior had Wounded Warrior Project has a thing called Project Odyssey, where and you can it's co-ed, or you can go male, female, and you do all these trust games and things like that. And also through Wounded Warrior, I'm going to the Soldier Ride. What is the Soldier Ride? The Soldier Ride, I'm going to New York City on a recumbent bike. Oh, I got to talk about that. And we'll be going through all the 5 boroughs. But again, they pay for you to go there. They pay for your flight. They pay for, lodging and hotel. But more importantly, you're with other veterans. That's it. That's the key for me. Being with and having that engagement and making friends and so on. With Team Red, White, and Blue, I was one of the chapter communication officer, and they have all these runs. So all these things are out there for us as veterans. The thing is to get engaged, to reach out to them, say, hey, I want to be part of it. And then this summer, I'm so excited. Woo, thank you. Me and Eva Fulton, how you doing? We're teaching this course called Women in the Military, Where's My Mic? At McDaniel College. So we're gonna have women, and we're gonna do like a podcast 101. But in the end, it's about, because I believe that women in the military are underserved, especially when they get out as veterans. I know that for a fact. One of my best commanders was a female when I was at Fort Bliss, and I really learned a lot from it. I was a first sergeant then, and it was awesome. So we're teaching a course, but the big message for everybody, us veterans, is we got to get out there. I'm not going to give Uncle Sam his money, because if you just that quick,
right.
But you and I know that a lot of our veteran brothers and sisters don't get engaged, don't do something. This podcast, it saved my life. When I found out about it, and when I talked with Joel and so on, and me having this gives me purpose. Not that I didn't have, but it gives me something to do. And Terry coming in my life and all these people, it's been a lifesaver for me. So all these things have been good for me, and if they keep the demons away in Pandora's box. So those are some of the things. Yeah.
So how does someone qualify for some of those things? Do you have to have a certain level of disability or service connection, or what's the qualifiers for getting into some of these programs?
So for the VA, go on the VA website, and your primary doctor has to say whatever disability. Everybody's different. So you go to the website. You go VA Adaptive Program is called, and then there's a series of things that have to be in the one that you use the VA, once in a while. But your primary doctor at VA writes you a letter, and they know exactly what they got to write. And then you take that to your area coordinator, who's a GS employee that works for the VA. Okay. And then once you get involved, all throughout the year, they have bicycle riding, they have swimming, they even have air rifle, golfing. And this is all free for the veteran. And like I told Terry, one of the things that I need is a recumbent bike because of my operation. I'm going to get a free recumbent bike because of my injury that I don't have to pay for. And let me tell you, people, that thing costs like $14,000 or $15,000.
That's crazy.
And it's yours for life. So it starts with your veteran doctor to, hey, I'm interested in participating in the adaptive program the VA has. For these organizations, just Google it. Hey, I want to be part of Team Red, White, and Blue, Wounded Warrior Project. Just reach out to them. Semper Fi is another one. I've ran for them. So there is so many organizations out there. And for those, you just need to be a veteran, verify your DD-214, redacted, whatever. So that's how those work.
Very cool. So you also are a personal trainer too, or
I
are
am.
you?
I
Yeah.
am. I'm a certified personal trainer. So when I went through my I had an L4 L5 fusion, and it is terrifying because you have to sign all these liability things. You may not walk again, you may not die. So I was on my stomach or on my back for almost 5 months. So
Wow.
I said, okay, what's the best way for me to heal? So while I'm laying there, I got certified as a personal trainer,
Oh wow.
and I learned more about me, about my body. But when people say, "Hey, I need a schedule for a running or whatever," I did it for me, through ACE, American Council of Exercise,
Wow.
and then I'm a certified mediator, and I keep that up because of the job I did. But all these things help me to learn who I am, because we all have biases. Trust me, I'm in a mediation, and in your mind, you want to say, "Really, dude? That's what you're arguing about?" But you can't. You got to
Right.
be a poker face, like you got to be like, hmm.
Really? Okay.
You're just dying inside. But again, I went to in Atlanta to be a mediator, and I learned so much about myself because in the Army I was an EO, equal
Mhm.
employment, and I went to the OMI and yada yada. But it's amazing how all these things come into play once we're out. But again, it's like anything: if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
Stay
True.
engaged. Yeah. And one of the last thing I did, which you mentioned, I'm an end of life death doula. I'm certified, and that was one of the things. I've lost a couple of people who gone to hospice,
Yeah.
and they got me just doing the veterans right now because sometimes they're by themselves,
Yeah.
and to be there. So what do we do? What does that look like? That means just being in that space. You're not a doctor, you're not there to give medicine, you're just there to be in that space. And what we do for the veterans here is we read them a certificate. Thank you for your service. We give them an American flag. We give them a quilt. We give them a pin if they're Vietnam veterans and everything. And sometimes they're in a state where they're not awake, but the family members are there.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing we're all gonna die one day, and
Right.
it's about giving that veteran, that person who's in hospital, a dignified going away kind of thing,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot, being there.
How did you get plugged into doing that? Or did you just have a desire to do that? Or how did that come about?
So I belong to a Bible study. That's another thing. Faith has been very important to me. That's keeping me grounded. When I went through my divorce last year, not that I was an atheist, but I was helping a veteran trying to get his disability,
Mhm.
and he was a Christian, and I remember it was like 2 a.m, and I was just really in a bad place, and he asked me, "Do you believe that Jesus died for your sins and that he rose 3 days later?" And I said yes, and that changed my whole life. It didn't take my problems away, but I felt this thing come off me, and it was like,
Yeah.
and then I joined the Bible study group, and one of the individuals in the Bible study group uh, was an end of life doula taking the train. I said, "What is that?" She was a chaplain, and
Oh,
that's how I got involved. And once I got certified, you don't have to be certified. I just wanted to learn more. So that's
right.
how I got about through word of mouth. I said, "Ooh, I looked it up. Yeah, I like to do that."
Wow. That takes a special kind of person to do that because it's really hard to see somebody and that's in their
Yeah.
last stages and that they're probably only a few tomorrows left. That's really hard on you as a person to deal with that. So it takes a really um, someone with a lot of compassion, a lot of heart in order to like take that role on because it's difficult.
The best thing that I got, and we know this, is I got a great support system. I got these beautiful human beings around me, that when I need to talk or I can reach out, you
That's
know,
great.
and and when I was going through my stuff with PTSD, I had a good support system, and also knowing when you got to take a knee. In other words, knowing when you got to take a break, and that's
Right.
for that I had to. Sometimes I say I can't make that one. I'm good, and I just would because I know it affects us, right.
Yes. Yeah, it has to at some point. I mean, you can only take on so much and
Yeah,
then not have it, have an impact on you.
yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. It's like, remember the movie The Green Mile? The guy
yes.
sucked up all and sometimes you just, and comes a point where you gotta, you can't. pour out of yourself. If you're empty, you got to pour back in,
Yes.
and one thing I did learn during my divorce was I was a people pleaser. I had to learn to say no. That was, when we talked about earlier, you learn something from that.
Right.
And I did learn that, and it's hard. I'm not gonna say it's easy. You get used to being with an individual, and then you just got to keep working through it, and that's what I've been doing, working on myself and being happy and not having drama, in my life. And just be like my dogs, my two golden retrievers, just be happy no matter what.
Right. So how did you come to, I know how you got engaged with MBR, but how did you decide on the format of your show, and why did you call it The Motivated Mindset, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So I remember seeing a newsletter from the VA, and it was podcasted. So all my life, I always wanted to do interviews, but not like this. I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Right.
And one of the things, when I was in the Army, it's like, as a first sergeant, I was the motivator. I was the father of the company, and even when you're in pain, even when you're freaking, and Terry, like as a leader, officer, going on sick call does not look good.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Even though you're in pain and you're a leader. So the motivated mindset, I had to be motivated and motivate my soldiers, even though I'm in pain. So it's a motivated mindset. That's where that came from, because of the military. You got to have a certain way of doing things, even if, let me tell you, so I deployed to Iraq, and it was freaking terrifying, but not as terrifying. I was in an Apache unit in Camp Humphreys in Korea when 9/11 happened. And I've been to the DMZ. I did 2 tours there. And it is terrifying when you're on the DMZ, knowing that you're just there as a speed bump. Yeah. And I was the S3 when I was there. And when 9/11 happened, the first 48, 24 hours, nobody knew exactly what was going on.
Right.
So everything stopped. We were in Camp Rodriguez, and we went to where we had to go. And it was, but I had a whole section, and I had to reset myself. So, okay, if you show fear, fear is contagious.
Yes.
I was a senior NCO, and I couldn't. I said, hey, you've been trained to do this. You signed that line. You signed a blank check. This is where I said some other colorful words, but this is where you got to pull up your pants and do what you got to do. And you got to have a certain mindset to do those things. So the motivated mindset came from that. That's how I came up with the name. When the VA said this thing, and I reached out to Joel, and I said, hey, I want to do this because I was lost like last year's Easter eggs. Like, how do I start?
Right.
And then that's how I came with the name. And it was something I always wanted to do. And it's evolved from when I first started to where I am now, and I've learned a lot having you in my hub and all these people that helped me out. And I appreciate all you guys, especially when I went through what I went through last year, and I had to take a pause for the cause because, I wasn't there.
Right. Yeah. You had to get yourself righted. You got to write your own ship sometimes. Like you said, you got to take a moment and take a knee and figure it out. And then you can come back and, regrouped and ready. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's where that came from. Oh, I got to share something real quick. So for New Year's, how you doing? Oh my God. You see my hat? Okay. So I went to, all right. I went to DR. I went to Dominican Republic and connected with my family that I didn't even know I had, a whole generation. And it was just timing. It was faith, because I was just still going through my stuff. And to have all these people accept me and love me. And it was just, and it was just amazing trip there. I spent New Year's there, and it was nothing but love. And that helped me heal so much. And I'm still in touch with. That's when I found out about WhatsApp. The thing on the phone, I said, what? There's somebody, you got WhatsApp? Yeah, how you doing? WhatsApp? He said, no. Girls, what are you talking about? No, on your phone, WhatsApp. So everybody in VR has WhatsApp.
Yep. That's how everybody communicates. That saves the money. Yeah.
So, and I say that because, it helped me heal by going there, and it helped me heal and find my center again, my moral compass, because at this stage of my life, Terry, my mission is to keep serving, to keep healing, to keep speaking truth, right?
Yeah.
And to help others understand that no matter where you come from, your past doesn't define you, and it doesn't,
It doesn't. You're right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that came about.
That's awesome. So all your posts and everything are so motivating. And so you've been recognized by Facebook several times for being a motivator. So
Yeah.
you're just so full of energy and so full of happiness. It's such a good thing to just scroll your page and you just get motivated just looking at your posts from working out, from all the engagements that you do, from just hanging out with your family, seeing your dogs. It really is a motivator. So if someone wants to engage with you and wants to get you as a speaker or wants to just learn some of the
Yeah.
things that you've figured out over time, how would they engage with you? What's the best way?
Well, I guess you know what, on my Facebook, I don't know how good. What is my Facebook?
It says it doesn't say
Oh,
Jose
there,
Flores.
that's fine. That's cool. Yeah, the LinkedIn. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. That if they reach out to me, then they're good. Yeah, absolutely. And if any veteran out there just wants to talk, I mean, you know, of course, with it and say, how can I get engaged, or just wants to talk to me, absolutely, that'll work. That's the best way. Yes, yes, yes. And you go on my YouTube and you know, like, subscribe, whatever. But anyway, just you can reach out to me, and I'm here to serve. Absolutely, I would love to hear from some of you guys out there. Please. Yeah.
Right. And so what day is your show and what time?
Oh, yes, ma'am. How you doing? So my show is on it's on Saturday at 1700, 5 p.m. Eastern for everyone else. And we have great guests and we have themes. So yeah, if you want to see me, you know, if you come on and say hello, how you doing? Thanks very much. Yeah. And I would be honored.
So if you were to give your younger self some advice, what would you tell your younger self?
Absolutely. This is exactly what I would tell them. Hang in there, buttercup. It's going to get better. Yes. You know what? All these things that in my opinion, all these things, even the trials and tribulations that I went to, made me who I am today.
Right.
You know, the story, I don't know if you heard the story real quick about the cocoon and the butterfly was trying to get out. And this man he opened up the cocoon. And you know what happened? The butterfly died because its wings were not formed. He had to go through that struggle. Right. So his wings can form and fly. But my opinion, whatever I went through, I had to go through to become who I am in front of you right now. That's what I would tell. Hey, just hang in there, Jose. It's gonna be okay. You know, come back on the White Castle. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, you know, that's what I would tell myself. And you know, and if you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah. If you're going through any adversity, reach out to people. Build your circle now, those close friends, and love and give empathy and kindness. I told my son this real quick one time. I said, son, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. He didn't get it back then. Then he had his son, and he lives in Hawaii. And he called me like 3 a.m. and said, really, dude? He said, Dad, I got it. I said, what you got? What you got, number one with cheese? He said, no, Dad, I got what you told me about, you know, it's about legacy. It's about what you leave behind and how you treat people. That's it.
Right. How you show up for people.
How you show up. That's it. And I said, yep, son, that's it. So that's what I would leave people. Just, you know, kindness and love and be open to change. Be open to change.
Yeah, we're all a little afraid to change because change sometimes is scary.
Yeah.
Just like a move or like changing jobs or getting out of the military or any of those things can be scary, but they're well worth the time to invest in them and put in them because you never know who you're going to meet or how your life is going to be impacted for the good, because everything, like you said, that you've gone through has made you who you are. And so today you're happy, even though you've gone through struggle and you've dealt with PTSD and you've dealt with some of those things. At the end of the day, I would still say you're happy with where you are and who you are right now.
Yeah. And I'm still going, you know, we all do. Nothing, still going through some things I'm working out, but at least I know how to manage it more effectively than self-medicate with alcohol, you know, or other things. So that's the only thing. It's I know it sounds corny, but it's about love. Love. That's it. I mean, I can't say it any better. You know, I love that one quote by John Lennon that says, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Right. Yeah. We think we got it figured out and then life gives us a quick like, hey, wake up, because that ain't where you're going.
Absolutely. So yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, Terry. Yeah.
So if someone were struggling with PTSD, or just with, being down for whatever reason because they're going through a struggle, what would you tell them to do for the first step to get in a good place? What would you suggest to them?
Accept that you have an issue. Denial is always number one. Like, okay, I can handle this. I know, because I did it. Be able to raise your hand. It's not weakness, it's strength to raise your hand. That's number one. Once you do that, then everything opens up. But if you don't know, but we can't read minds. Once you do that, I think it's 988. If you feel like suicide, have a good friend, build your circle of trust. Have people that you can reach out to. Heck, you reach out to me. You don't need to know me. All of us are here for that. But acknowledge that you have a problem. Una. Be able to change, get the help you need, and it's gonna be effing hard. Yeah. But it's better than the alternative.
Definitely.
That's what I would say. So yeah, acknowledge, seek the help, however that is. If you don't know, then you call somebody. Reach out to the VA. They are good, the vet center. But first, is acknowledging I have an issue and reaching out to the VA. When I first got out, nobody trusted the VA. The VA's done a lot better. It's doing a lot better.
They have, yeah.
So that's what I would say is acknowledge and reach out to MBR, somebody here, anybody. We're all veterans, we know, and we're here to support.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say.
What's next for Jose and for the fall of 26 and into 2027? What do you got coming up? What are you into for this next coming year?
You know what? I know it sounds corny. I was actually thinking of studying to be a chaplain.
Really?
Because how did that? Because of the hospice point, they always need a chaplain. So it's like, if I can do that, so getting certified as a chaplain. And I've been thinking hard. I know it's a lot of work. Actually pursuing my PhD.
Wow, that's awesome.
So those are, the chaplain, but that's what I'm thinking, Terry.
I love that. I knew you had something up your sleeve. That's why I asked. I knew you had something.
So real quick. So when I was teaching ROTC at a university, it was a liberal arts college. Everybody had their doctrine. And I had a smart but freshman who taken ROTC said, "Oh, you don't have a PhD, do you, Master Flores?" I said, "I sure do. I have a public high school diploma. Now drop and give me 100. Don't you ever challenge me. I'm a subject matter expert, yada, yada, yada." But that's right. I got a public high school diploma. I do have a PhD.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything you want to put out before we get off the air? We got just a couple of minutes left.
No, I just want to say, Terry, thank you so much for having me here, and to my veterans, even to my civilians. I always say the hardest job in the military is the military family. Even for the spouses and your veterans. Thank you for everything you've done. It means a lot. We as service members, when we deploy, we're taken care of. I'm not saying it's easy enough, but you as the dependents, family, it's a lot, And if you have a friend who's a veteran, a family member, there is help out there. There is help out there when it comes to stuff like just get educated, reach out to any of us here, and we can provide you all the information that you need. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just and love, give love back. Just give.
I love it.
Empathy and compassion. Yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, Jose. I'm so glad that you came on tonight, because I know we all feel a little more motivated and a little more in tune with, how we can impact our own circle of influence, how we can make a difference, because
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
you're making a difference where you are.
No, thank you for that, Terry. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's been awesome, stupendous. Thank you. And everything you do, Terry. Gracias por todo.
Thank you very much. This is Teresa Rounds signing off.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, We want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.